Well, just a short history of the Haudenosaunee. Now, the Haudenosaunee is an old confederacy, it's 1,000 years old, at least 1,000, and probably quite a bit more. And we have a system of governance that's very democratic and probably can be the basis, probably is the basis for the U.S. government as it stands. The principles of the Confederacy was established by the great peacemaker. And the great peacemaker came among these 5 warring nations, which were Mohawks, Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas, and Senecas, way back when they were fighting. And this is a bad history. When I see what's going on around the world today, in Kosovo and in Far, all of those, Ethiopia, Africa, Iraq, all around the world where this fighting is occurring right now. If you will note that the style of fighting that's going on today is really merciless. There's no rules whatsoever involved here. It's one of just pure hatred and pure fear, submission by fear. And there's no rules. They're killing men, women, and children. And we have a fighting machine in Iraq, which is probably the most powerful fighting machine ever in the history of the world, being fought to a standstill by guerrilla warfare and the will of people. And that's always primary to understanding what goes on, is what is the will of the people. So back in those days, we were in that same kind of a fight. There was no rules, and people were living in fear. Women and children were running in the woods, hiding from the men, and the men were fighting. And came the peacemaker, across what is now Lake Ontario, and landed in the northeast shore of Lake Ontario, Mohawk territory, and he began his epic journey of bringing peace to the 5 nations. And I won't go through all that because that's epic. It would take days and days to talk about it, and it's a great story. And it lays down the principles that govern us. So I'll just go quickly to the day that they sat on the Onondaga Lake. Finally got all the leaders assembled at Onondaga Lake, and then instructed the governance right there. And the first thing he said was that you're going to be governed by 5 principles. These 5 principles, or 3 principles rather, these 3 principles are kind of dual principles. Peace and health, scano, peace, scano, health, same word. So you can't have peace without health. The next principle was equity. Equity for the people, to be fair to the people, always to be fair. These are instructions to the leaders. And fairness brought justice. Can't have justice without being fair. Then the next principle was the power of the good minds, and the power of unity, to be united. This is a big message of his, to how to be united in mind and in spirit. And he said, this will be what the principle will govern your confederation. And he says, women are holders of life, and since the earth is female, they be in charge of land, and they'll be in charge of the earth. They're in charge of life. Men, they're in charge of fire. They're in charge of taking care of the nation. You're going to be the speakers, you're going to be the hunters, you're going to be the protectors, you're going to be the caregivers. You're carrying the nation. So then we had the principles laid down, and he established the process of how you raise leaders and how leaders are taken down, all by the will of people. all by the consensus, everything by consensus, nothing by voting. Because he said voting or not having consensus invites real division. And in today's times, as you look at the activities between the Democrats and Republicans in the United States, you see the division really clear now. They're having a hard time to even get along, and yet they're one government. They're supposed to be one government, but they don't act that way. And so I think that there's a lot of lessons in governance and how you maintain your leaders and how they're raised and lowered. And the style and system that we have is very democratic. It's not a competition of one man against the other. It's a choice of the clan mother, all her leaders, all her 5 leaders she chooses, but has to be ratified. First by the clan, then by the Council of Chiefs, and then finally by the Grand Council of Chiefs. The whole Six Nations are the ones who will finally say whether you are or you're not going to hold that title. So there's a lot of vetting. I mean, you get checked over again and again and again before you become a leader. And then the clan mother is instructed, and everybody is instructed at that particular time, and you hear all the laws, all the rules are told that day that this person is raised up, and it's a long day of instruction. You hear it twice, actually, everything twice. And finally, at the end of the day, then the person, the Speaker of the House, the Speaker of the day will say, now bring forth your candidate. So this is what everybody's been waiting for. Who is this person? So she brings him forward, grabs him by the hand, brings him forward, and stands there in front of all the people with her other leaders with her. This is the leaders of this particular clan, this title. She holds the title. This is my leader. So now, the younger brother side of the house, the Cayugas, Tuscaroras, and Oneidas will interrogate. And they will have the option to say yes or no. If they agree, then the other 2 nations on this side of the house will also have that option to agree or disagree. If they disagree, then the clan mother has to go back and start all over again. But say, good news, everybody agrees, and this person now is turned to the people, and the question will be asked, does anybody here know a reason why this person should not hold this title? If you know a reason why this person should not hold this title, then you are bound to speak now. And if you know that reason and you don't speak now, then you're bound never to bring it up again. So now is the time. So the last word is the people. And then the person is installed, but he's gone through a long democratic process. He's been challenged and challenged and challenged on his own merit. No competition. But once he's installed, he's there for life. And then he's instructed. And because the system is old, there's no budget for his position. Our chiefs are not paid for being leaders. Because it's an old system. It's just the way it is, and we still use the system, so that's the way it is. And you get a different quality leader that way. And I would say that it's been probably the strength of our Confederacy, the process of that style of leadership, and the longevity of it. Because we only change leaders when we need to, when one is down. So there's not a big disruption, there's not an election, it's filling the spot. But it's highly charged when that happens. Everybody's interested, and it's a business of the whole Six Nations.